They called them America's royal family. The Kennedys had everything: wealth, power, charisma, and the kind of political dynasty that seemed destined to shape the nation for generations. But behind the glamorous facade of Camelot lurked something far more sinister. Some say it's coincidence. Others whisper of something darker. A curse that has haunted one of America's most powerful families for nearly a century. Today, we're diving deep into the Kennedy curse, where triumph and tragedy dance hand in hand and where the American dream becomes a nightmare that spans 4 generations. To understand the curse, we must start with the man who built the empire, Joseph Patrick Kennedy Sr. Born in 1888, Joe Kennedy was ruthlessly ambitious. He made his fortune through banking, real estate, and, according to some accounts, bootlegging during Prohibition. But Joe's real dream wasn't wealth, it was power, political power. And he was determined that his sons would achieve what he never could, the presidency of the United States. Joe Sr. had 9 children, but his hopes rested primarily on his 4 sons, Joe Jr., John, Robert, and Edward. He groomed them for greatness, instilling in them a sense of destiny and invincibility. Kennedys don't cry, he would tell them. Kennedys don't quit. Perhaps that attitude, that sense of being untouchable, would prove to be their downfall. The first blow came in 1944. Joe Kennedy Jr., the golden boy, the one groomed specifically for the presidency, was serving as a Navy pilot in World War II. On August 12, 1944, he volunteered for Operation Aphrodite, a dangerous, secret mission involving flying a plane loaded with explosives toward German targets. The mission was supposed to be simple: fly the explosive-packed aircraft toward the target, then parachute to safety while remote operators guided it to its destination. But something went wrong. Terribly wrong. Joe Jr.'s plane exploded in midair over the English Channel. He was just 29 years old. His body was never recovered. With the heir apparent gone, the family's political ambitions fell to the second son, a young man who had always lived in his brother's shadow, who suffered from chronic back problems and had never been expected to carry the family torch. His name was John Fitzgerald Kennedy. What happened next seemed to defy the notion of any curse. JFK's rise was meteoric. From war hero to congressman to senator to the youngest elected president in American history. He married Jackie Bouvier, a woman of grace and beauty who captivated the nation. They called his administration Camelot, a shining moment in American history filled with hope, progress, and glamour. For a brief moment, it seemed the Kennedys had conquered their demons. But fate was watching, and fate was not finished with the Kennedy family. November 22nd, 1963, Dallas, Texas. The shots that rang out in Dealey Plaza didn't just kill a president. They shattered the myth of Kennedy invincibility forever. John F. Kennedy was dead at 46, cut down in his prime, his brain matter scattered across a pink Chanel suit that would become one of the most haunting images in American history. But the curse wasn't done, not even close. 5 years later, it was Robert Kennedy's turn to reach for the presidency. RFK had transformed himself from his brother's ruthless campaign manager into a champion of civil rights and social justice. He was leading the Democratic primary, poised to potentially win the presidency and restore Camelot. On June 5th, 1968, Robert Kennedy had just won the California primary. The presidency seemed within his grasp. He was giving his victory speech at the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles, talking about uniting the country, about healing America's wounds.
Now it's on to Chicago, and let's win there.
Those were among the last words Robert Kennedy would ever speak in public. As he walked through the hotel's kitchen pantry, a young Palestinian named Sirhan stepped forward with a .22 caliber revolver. Three shots. Robert Kennedy lay dying on the kitchen floor, his blood mixing with ice cubes scattered across the linoleum. He died 26 hours later. He was 42 years old. In 5 years, the Kennedy family had lost 2 potential presidents, 2 brothers, 2 dreams of what America could be. That left Edward Ted Kennedy, the youngest son, the one never expected to carry the political torch. The pressure on Ted was immense. He was now the keeper of the Kennedy legacy, the last hope for the family's political dynasty. Ted became one of the most influential senators in American history, championing causes from healthcare to civil rights, but the curse seemed determined to follow him too. July 18, 1969. Chappaquiddick Island. Ted Kennedy was driving back from a party when his car went off a bridge into Puka Pond. Kennedy escaped, but his passenger, 28-year-old Mary Jo Kopechne, did not. Kennedy didn't report the accident for 10 hours. Kopechne's body was found the next morning, trapped in the car. The incident destroyed Ted's presidential ambitions and raised questions that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The last Kennedy brother would live with the weight of his family's tragedies and his own demons for another 4 decades. But the curse didn't stop with the brothers. It seemed to follow the family like a shadow, reaching into the next generation with relentless persistence. David Kennedy, Robert's son, struggled with drug addiction for years after witnessing his father's assassination on television as a 12-year-old boy. In 1984, he was found dead in a hotel room in Palm Beach. He was 28. Michael Kennedy, another of Robert's sons, died in a skiing accident in Aspen in 1997. He was playing football on skis when he hit a tree. He was 39. And then there was John F. Kennedy Jr., John, the little boy who saluted his father's coffin, America's prince. Handsome, charismatic, he seemed destined for greatness. He founded a political magazine, married Carolyn Bassett in a fairy tale wedding. On July 16, 1999, Kennedy was piloting a small plane to Martha's Vineyard with his wife and sister-in-law aboard. They never arrived. The wreckage was found 5 days later on the ocean floor. All 3 were dead. John Jr. was 38 years old, almost the same age his father had been when he was elected president. Even in recent years, the curse seems to persist. In 2019, Saoirse Kennedy Hill, Robert F. Kennedy's granddaughter, died of an accidental overdose at the family compound in Hyannisport. She was 22. In 2020, Maeve Kennedy Townsend McKean and her 8-year-old son Gideon went missing while canoeing in the Chesapeake Bay. Their bodies were recovered weeks later. The deaths continue, the tragedies mount, the questions persist. So what explains this seemingly endless string of tragedies? Is it really a curse? Or is there a more rational explanation? Skeptics point to the Kennedy lifestyle. They were risk-takers, thrill-seekers, who lived life at full throttle. They skied dangerous slopes, flew small planes, sailed in rough weather. They put themselves in harm's way because they believed they were invincible. Others point to their prominence. The Kennedys were always in the public eye, always involved in controversial causes, always making enemies. JFK and RFK made powerful adversaries, from the mafia to foreign governments to domestic extremists. Statisticians argue that with such a large, high-profile family spanning multiple generations, tragedy is statistically inevitable. The curse, they say, is simply confirmation bias. We notice Kennedy tragedies because we're looking for them. But then there are those who believe something deeper is at work, something that can't be explained by statistics or lifestyle choices. Today, Kennedys still serve in Congress. They still champion causes, still fight for justice, still embody that particular brand of American idealism that made them beloved. But they do so under the shadow of history, knowing that their name carries both extraordinary privilege and what seems to be an extraordinary burden. Whether you believe in curses or not, one thing is undeniable. The Kennedy family has paid a price for their prominence. that few families in American history can match. They reached for the stars and achieved greatness, but they also discovered that sometimes the higher you climb, the farther you have to fall. The Kennedy curse, coincidence, consequence, or something more mysterious? The answer may forever remain as elusive as the family's pursuit of the American dream itself. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Got questions or want me to explore something specific? Drop your topic suggestions in the comments below. I love hearing from you, and your ideas often inspire my next videos. Until next time, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.